Welcome to Growth Mode Podcast for Real Estate Agents, hosted by the Floyd Wickman Team. You know, you can either do it alone or bathe your mind with the inspiration of others. During this podcast, you'll listen to successful agents in our coaching community from across North America share what motivates them and what they've learned.
Welcome to Growth Mode Podcast. I'm Coach Dawn Zarin, your host for today's episode. Let's dive in.
So Karen, what would you like to share today?
Well, the first one was not my parade. It was actually an ask on our coaching call with Dawn last week, but we had wonderful feedback. So I just thought it would be worth sharing. Someone in our group has an apartment building with a lot of tenants being sold. And she heard on the inside that the rents are going to be much higher at some point once it closes. So we talked about the opportunity of approaching those tenants as a rent versus buy type of a seminar or situation or campaign. And what we thought about together with everyone adding their input was to make it a campaign, to start with finding all of the information for the tenants, contact them, however, by mail, email, text, call them, definitely in person, call them, invite them to something where they can meet you face to face and you can give them information, and ultimately, to work with that group of people and see if you can get sales, convert them from being tenants and wasting their money to investing in a property. Because a lot of times tenants just don't know what they can do, and nobody approaches them to share with them that there are many programs out there that they may qualify for. If they're, paying that much in rent, why not be investing in their own asset? So that was one really great idea that we all came up with together. And then the other one is something that I've thought of for a while, because I've watched a lot of agents getting in and out of the business over time, or spending a lot of years in there and then retiring. And many people don't have their book of business prepared to sell, and they just walk away from all of those leads. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing in my Sweat Hogs class is I have a lot of old rosters from Century 21 days, from, all of the throughout the years that I've done, people I've done transactions with that are no longer in the business. So who are they referring to when someone says, "Are you still in the business?" Probably no one. And I called one of them today, and he's going to refer to me, and he's not referring to anyone, which is hard to believe because he was in the business a long time. So he's now in my book of business. We had a very nice conversation, kind of lengthy, but it was well worth it. So that's what I'm going to do, is approach a lot of people that I know of as they pop into my head, and I'm going to look at the old rosters and see, who I have done business with in the past that already knows me and respects me. And I thought that might be a great idea for other agents to do as well.
It is a great idea. And it's a great idea wherever someone is in their business. If they're a new agent, if they're a practiced agent. And it reminds me, I keep an acorn at my desk because it represents, this has the capacity to become an amazing tree. This particular acorn won't be doing that because it's in my house, right? So all those leads that someone generated, all those relationships someone generated in their business, it's like having acorns around your house rather than planting acres of trees that could still feed you business when you're done. So good tip on the finding more leads as the active agent, and also really good reminder for every agent to be crafting their book of business for the purpose of having it feed you in the future. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that, Karen. Hey, Cam, you are now in sweathogs.com.
Yes.
And you shared a breakthrough insight that you realized. And I love that you have both great capacity for numbers and calculation and emotion, and you balance them well. So how about you share your big aha this week?
Yeah, so my big aha. So I'm relatively new in the industry full time. So I wanted to find out how many houses do I need to sell to make a living? Just so I know where my baseline is, where I can then build on it. So that number was 12 houses without a referral. And then I said, okay, now that I know what that number is without a referral, if I only wanted to do leads, let's say through Zillow or something like that, they take a 40% fee. So I would have to do 20 Zillow sales a year just to live, as opposed to 12 Zillow sales a year, or 20 Zillow sales a year, as opposed to just 12, normal non-referral sales a year.
So
That
when you
was,
say referral sales, you don't mean
Mhm.
because a friend or someone in your sphere refers you. You mean you're buying a lead, a commission split.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, completely. Mhm.
So it would take 12 if it's just you generating your own business.
Right.
It takes 20 if you're paying for it.
Yeah, almost twice as much. Yeah. Another thing on top of that I kind of realized too, as I've been doing this for a few years, but I just, I'm new full time. But another thing I realized is when you have a lead that you generated yourself, you have a better relationship with that person than a stranger from a referral. And so what I also noticed is the lead that you generated yourself, you spend less time with that person because your relationship is already built and cultivated. Whereas when you have a Zillow person, you have to cultivate that relationship as you work with them, which makes your average time with them longer. You show more homes. So you not only do you take home less money at the end of the day, but you also spend more time trying to get it. And that's why I'm all in on generating my own referrals and leads for, as opposed to paying for them.
Now, the price we pay in time and relationship building is nothing compared to the price we pay, not just in the money, but in the frustration and the time wasted. I hadn't thought about this when you and I spoke earlier. It's not just that 40% part. You're actually paying for the leads that don't generate anything also, right?
So the Zillow, the Zillow I'm on is they give you free leads, but then you pay when you close. So it only costs the 40%. Like, because I know there's multiple ways to do it. You can pay up front if you want and then get a rip at the end. But for mine, they give them to you and then you only have to pay. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. The other really great bonus part is you'll find that the leads that you've been working with that you've cultivated yourself, not only, as you said, are they going to take less time and frustration, you won't have to
Mhm.
work as hard. If they were referred to you by somebody else or came from your relationships, they're going to be more apt to refer you to the people in their lives.
Right.
Whereas someone who finds you through a service like any lead generation group, they're not practiced in introducing people because it's not what they experienced. So here's looking forward to your referrals that are organic.
Yeah, for
Coming.
sure.
They're coming. Good.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Kim. Creative technique or an Ask the Experts that you got great advice on?
Well, I'm reading Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And my future son-in-law is reading it with me. He's a salesman in investments. But anyway, we're doing a chapter a week and then we're discussing it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But the chapter I was on this week is try to see the problem from the customer's point of view and get them to want to do, what it is you're trying to get them to do. And so I was just on an appointment and remembered that. And of course we know about POCA and ask a whole bunch of questions, but just the whole idea of, what do you want? What is your preferred outcome to this situation? And then, you're giving them what they want, and they kind of they're like butter in your hands. They respond to that you're actually concerned and interested in what they want. So anyway, that's my Prada techniques.
Richard, that's tremendous. There's so many layers in what you said. Is it okay if
Thank
I
you.
just kind of do some bullet points to make sure they're super clear for everyone?
Yeah. Heck yeah, I'm going to go on mute. Heck yeah, go for it.
All right. So, one, I appreciate you showing up and staying safe while you're driving, but that you committed to sharing this with us. So, the takeaways that I heard from you is you're continuing to train the brain. You're reading valuable information. You are leveraging your investments in training the brain by sharing it with someone else in sales and someone else in your world. I love that you're doing this with your future son-in-law. That's tremendous. And that when you come together to talk about what you both read, you're meeting the commitment of reading the chapter each week, but you get another person's perspective and you get to share yours. When we share our wisdom, we receive it back tenfold. We ingrain it further, right? Then the chapter that you referred to, finding out what's most important to the person you aim to do business with. When people feel seen and heard, they trust and they know that we have the solution to their challenge. And as you said, they grease the wheels, or as you put it, butter the hands, where when you know what's most important to them, you know exactly how to best support them, because there's obstacles, there's objections, there's challenges. Let's face it, if it was easy, no one would need a realtor. So thank you again, many layers in what you just shared, Richard. Really valuable. And he's staying on mute because he's staying safe. He gave us the wave.
Thank you, Richard.